It is my pleasure to be welcomed here on the Colts Show by one of our great international fans of the Indianapolis Colts, Lucas LeJeune. Lucas, how you doing, man? Welcome back to Indy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It's pretty special being here, I have to say.
So Lucas, you're a listener of the podcast. I appreciate that.
Every podcast, yeah.
Not just this, the Jack Doyle podcast, Instant
Everything,
Reaction.
yeah.
You are a full consumer of our Colts podcast offerings. But more importantly, why I'm having you on the show is that you have the work you have done and just like the presence you have in Europe. When I was in Berlin this year for the Colts and Falcons game, seeing how big and invested the Blue Crew Europe is, which is our European fan club, it was so cool to see that, and hearing from a lot of those members of it of how important you are to the fan club was really cool. So I was like, okay, well, you're in town in Indy. We're taping this in late December, right before New Year's. I was like, I want to have Lucas on the podcast because I want to hear your story of how you became a fan and what your experience is like watching the Colts from an ocean away, but being just as invested, just as knowledgeable, and just as passionate about this team as someone who lives in Indianapolis. I think it's so cool. So having you on the pod, is a real thrill for me to kind of hear your story of that, because I think there are a lot of people who live in Europe who might watch this pod, might listen to this pod, who can take away something from your story as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I want to start with how you became a fan.
Okay.
Because, obviously the Colts fans who live here in Indianapolis, you become a fan because you live in Indianapolis. You grew up with the team. You got a horseshoe, T-shirt when you were 3, and you've been with the team ever since. But for you, growing up, you're from the Netherlands. Growing up there, how did you become a fan of the Indianapolis Colts?
Well, so, you said living in Indianapolis makes you become a fan, right? Which I sort of had that experience. I was an exchange student here in Indiana during the school year of 2019-2020. But when you book an exchange year, you don't know where you're going as an exchange student. You can end up anywhere in the U.S. Just depends on where people are who want to host you and have you in their home for a greater amount of a year, pretty much. And I ended up in Indianapolis, or actually Fishers, but flying to Indianapolis, and that was in 2019, and that was at the time during preseason, and that was on a Saturday, which happened to be the moment there was a game being played in Lucas Oil Stadium, a preseason game, and I arrived for my exchange here that Saturday at Indianapolis Airport, and we of course had to drive to Fishers, so that means you pass Lucas Oil Stadium along the way. And while we were driving there and being picked up by my wonderful host family, they were listening to the game and listening to the news. And on that moment, the news broke that former quarterback Andrew Luck was retiring. Because that was a game, preseason game versus the Bears.
I was also there when I was covering the Bears, so I was also in the building then.
So it's pretty much one of those moments where everybody remembers where you were at that moment. And I was on, the highway, like the interstate at that moment, right next to Lucas Oil Stadium. And then that news broke, and that sort of sparked my interest for this team. I didn't really know much about the NFL yet or about the Colts. I knew that there was a stadium with my name on it, and I like sports. So I was like, yeah, let's figure out what's going on here. And everybody pretty much was freaking out about it, which is totally understandable. And I just wanted to learn what was going on and why, what this fuss was all about, so to say. So that way, I got to learn more about the Colts, started following them ever since. And pretty much haven't missed a snap ever since.
So you're like the one fan on earth who became a fan of the Colts the night Andrew Luck retired.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Exactly, yeah. So, we lost somebody very important, but gained somebody not that important. But
you started with some true dedication there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So take me through, your early experiences then with the Colts that didn't involve the starting quarterback retiring in the preseason. What was your first game that you went to? How did your fandom grow as you went through that exchange year living in Fishers?
Yeah, so during that exchange year, that was pretty much the story, right? And the story was how are the Colts going to continue now? So I was curious following that. So I kept following them that season, watched some games, And later that year, there was the last home game of the season, which was marketed as, fan appreciation game. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm a fan now, so I want to go and see what it's like. And that was, out of my head, 22 December 2019, Colts Panthers in Lucas Oil Stadium, which was my first game, and my first game in person. And that game, Naeem Hines had 2 punt returns and set a franchise record that day for most punt return yards, in one game. So which is pretty cool, and that was very just awesome awesome to witness. I was really pretty much a fan, but from that moment on, I was completely sold. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stick to this team or to stick following it, and keep following it. So yeah, that was my first ever Lucas Oil experience, which was really cool.
So you go back to the Netherlands and explain to people where you live in the Netherlands, because you're not in Amsterdam, you're not in Rotterdam, kind of the cities that maybe some Americans know.
Yeah, exactly. So I live in the Netherlands, obviously. Well, if you look at the map, it's adjacent to Germany, so it's adjacent to the west of Germany. If you look at Amsterdam, it's pretty much in the heart, pretty much a little bit west of the heart. And if you go down, you see this little sliver hanging out of the Netherlands, sort of this little tail. That's the province of Limburg, and I live right in the middle of it, in the town called Roermond, and that's also where my Colts garden house is located. It's in my backyard, but I live like literally 5 minutes away from Germany. I have many German friends. I also speak fluent German, so I have a very good understanding of the German culture and the German people. And that's also why I go along so well with our other German fans, who are actually amazing people. Like, I know it sounds through like a blue and white glasses, but they're really great people. So.
Yeah, I want to get into some of those German fans here in a bit, but I want to ask you, like, how did you then decide? Okay, hey, I want to follow the Colts. I want to be a supporter of them. How do you watch the Colts?
Yeah, I mean, I watch it just back home like any other international fan, right? You have the international pass and just get that every year and watch as much NFL games and, of course, Colts games as possible. But when I came back home from my exchange year, I needed a spot to watch Colts games, and my mom and her partner built this garden house in the back of in our backyard, sort of like a man cave, I guess. And when I came back, I was like, oh, that's a nice place to watch the Colts game. So I sort of just captured that spot, and it started all with like one small flag from the Colts, and it's every time I've gotten back or started collecting things from the Colts, I'm running out of space after this trip. So I'm gonna have to move some things around after this. So yeah.
So it is like genuinely really cool, because you've shown me photos of it, especially at night.
Yeah.
Like when you're up till 1 o'clock in the morning watching a.
Well, yeah. Primetime games start at 2:15.
Yeah, 2:15.
So
yeah.
It's crazy.
But it's really cool, like all the memorabilia you've collected. And it's so cool to think about how the Colts have this, just in this tiny little area in the Netherlands. They have this huge presence. Do you ever get like neighbors or anyone walking by being like, What's up with this? Like,
it's pretty covered by everything around
Okay.
it, because I live like in the middle of Roermond. So despite it being a garden house, it's like in the middle of the city. So it's pretty covered with everything else. I do know my neighbors though, and I mean they're very nice, and I also think they like it. Like they're like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And when I hosted my first European Colts cookout last October, I of course let them know, like, hey, we're gonna have a party. I'm not sure how much we're gonna score. Turns out we scored quite a lot that day, so it was quite loud. Yeah,
that was the Colts Raiders game. You were nice enough to invite me to come zoom in on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And talk to some of the fans there. And I thought that was my first experience talking to some of our international fans, like like Stefan, I think, was there.
Yeah. Christoph was there.
Christoph was there.
Marcel were there.
Marcel Sponge.
Yeah.
And it was so cool, like, hearing their stories, but also gaining this understanding of like how knowledgeable and passionate our European fans are.
Yeah.
From that to kind of then go into Berlin with this baseline of like, these people really know their stuff, and it's really cool.
Yep.
But for you to be able to host that, what was that experience like for you to kind of bring the European crew together physically to host, and watch this game that the Colts wound up winning 40-6 over the Raiders?
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I feel lonely now. when I'm watching a game alone in that place, ever since, normally I always watch alone, but now I feel lonely. And I said this on the RTL documentary, which is releasing soon too, is that, after Frankfurt, it sort of all changed my perspective. Before that, I was like, oh, the Colts are pretty much my thing in Europe, and I didn't know any other fans. But as soon as we all met in Frankfurt, we all kind of saw, and I think the Colts themselves also saw, like, wow, we have a huge presence in Europe, and we should, use that. And those people actually know a lot of stuff. So I thought, why wouldn't I want to be around them? I can learn from them, and I can learn more about my team from them. So that's why I decided to be with them.
Yeah.
And also decided to have them over. And yeah, it was a great experience. I didn't see much from the game. I was busy running things. It was very busy night, but the people, there were like 15 people there. And aren't they crazy to make a 6-hour trip all the way from the other side of Germany?
I was going to say, it's not like they just came from across town.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
They travel all over Germany to come, so which is really nice. And we had some people from the Netherlands as well. We do have a couple Dutch fans who live in the Netherlands. They're not like Dutch natives, but they're Dutch citizens. They live in the Netherlands. Felipe came. Some Canadian, Michael came. He recently moved to the Netherlands too, which is really nice to have them too. So a pretty busy party, and I hope to make it an annual thing.
So you said you thought you were almost alone as like a Colts fan in Europe prior to that Frankfurt game.
It felt like that. Yeah, it wasn't
it
wasn't.
Right.
They've been a fan way longer than I have, but it felt like that. Yeah. So I sort of started a group chat. With some international Colts fans I met on Twitter. It was like 10 people back then. And after that Frankfurt game, it blew up. We started that European Blue Crew, merged my chat into that, and now we have in that community, including the German chat, over 300 members.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
The growth of football in Europe, I think, is something the NFL has definitely taken notice to, with first hosting the games in London, then expanding to Germany, and this year Spain, Ireland. It's kind of growing and growing in Europe, but I think Germany specifically, and this isn't just because the Colts have GMP rights in Germany, but the games the game I went to in Frankfurt was amazing, in the sense that it was a lot of Germans who showed up to that game, who were passionate about it. I did a Bears-Raiders game in London, where it felt like it was a lot of Americans traveling over, and then there's some, English folks in the crowd who went to that game, but it felt like Germany specifically is very passionate about the NFL.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How have you seen the growth of the sport in Germany? Obviously, you're adjacent to it, where you're at in the Netherlands. How have you seen it grow there? And how cool is it that the Colts have now played twice in Germany to kind of really plant their flag as we can be a team that you support if you live in this country or in the area?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very weird thing to just get in a car and drive to a Colts game. I have to.
It's a very normal thing for people here, but for you, that's
but
awesome.
I have to travel for hours to be here and then get to the stadium. It's a whole trip, and you have to reserve a lot of time for it. There, I'm still spending the weekend there, but practically you could just get in your car, drive to the game, and head back, which is really cool. And I think this is what it really means to me. It's also in small things seeing that growth. So of course the German people, they're very fanatic, they're very loyal to their teams, to their culture. And I think if you use that, that's also really nice. I do think if the NFL, in my opinion, really wants to emphasize that more, that growth, what you sort of need to replicate is how the Colts live here. The Colts are alive and well in this city. It's like how I became a fan, right? Mm-hmm. It's how I had that Andrew Luck story, because everybody was talking about it. It was the thing of town. Everybody was talking about it. Say, hey, did you hear that? What should we do now? And that's something you need to replicate in Europe. If you get that, if those NFL teams, and hopefully the Colts as much as possible, are alive within the people, then it really starts to come alive, and then it really starts to become a thing where you can. Where it becomes a natural thing for people to become fans, and it's in small things too. What I love is when I get off the airplane here in Indianapolis, that the ketchup bottles on restaurants have Colts logos on. You can just go to a store and it has Colts stuff on it. You can go to the supermarket and they're selling Colts stuff. It's in small things in where you really see, okay, the Colts are everywhere here. And I hope they'll be everywhere soon in Germany too. So,
but I think this, you kind of leading the Blue Crew Europe, like sports are so much about community, and you feeling connected to others through the love of a team, the support of a team, and to build that to have hundreds of people in this group now is so special, and that's how it grows. Mm-hmm. It grows because other people can then be welcomed into the community.
Yep.
And what I saw in Berlin wasn't just a couple hundred people.
No.
It was like thousands of European, not Americans living in Europe necessarily, but people born in Europe, people born in Germany, Austria, Scotland, England, the Netherlands, Spain. Like I'm sure I'm missing some countries in there, Sweden, who all came together as, hey, this is our community.
Yeah.
And I think that ownership of it, that you lead, that certainly folks like Christoph and Stefan.
I was going to say I don't lead it,
but you're a big part of a
Yeah.
I mean,
a little bit. Yeah.
You can be humble all you want, but you hosted a watch party at your house. I mean, that counts as leadership there. That is so important.
Yeah.
What was that Berlin experience like for you? Where I think I talked to you at one point, and you said like I've never felt more connected to our European fans. Basically.
Yes, I really feel like our and I'm not just I know I sound Colts, I'm not very objective, but
that's the goal.
Objectively wise, saying it is a really special group because I really felt like our whole fan base grew together more because of this trip. So we sort of got to know each other back in 2023. The Indianapolis group already was there. They already knew each other very well, but I think all of the other fans, like all over Europe, really got to know each other in 2023. And then we started this community where we just keep texting on game days and stay in touch with each other and sort of, follow each other on social media. So you're still, friends already, but then having that sort of reunion, so to say, in Berlin and getting each other know each other better there and talk about, what kind of work do you do, or like get to know the people behind the Colts fans. Yeah. That's how you really start to become like a very knit community. That's how it felt for me. Like I went alone to Berlin. I traveled alone. Like I drove over there by myself. But as soon as I got into the hotel room, I didn't feel alone for a single second. Like our whole hotel was Colts fans. We traveled to the center together, traveled back to the center together. And just people saying like, hey, if there's somebody, if there's ever something in subway system, just call me, we'll come on over. And yeah, that truly means, that they're on the lookout for you, and I might have been alone in the multi-million, citizen city, but I didn't feel alone for a single second because of them. So it was really great.
I think that's such a cool thing to touch on is, I had a similar feel to it of, Berlin is this huge city. It's sprawling. It's got 3 million plus people.
Yeah.
It's the capital of Germany.
Lots of history. Yeah.
Right. Lots of history with it. But where we were, it felt like it was all about the Colts.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe, I spent most of my time walking from the team hotel to the, Das Center and back. But like within, and even walking through the city center, going to Brandenburg Gate, it felt like there was such a huge Colts presence there.
Yep.
That wasn't just like what our, like Ben Guerrero was doing, our, director of international, or our marketing team, or cheer, or, whatever. It was like, no, there were just a bunch of Colts fans there. And it did feel like such a community coming together with that. But it wasn't just Colts fans coming from America. It felt like there were a ton of Colts fans from Europe who I'm hoping, like, did you see growth in that kind of Blue Crew chat from this trip? Like, did you feel like there are so many more of us out there that we can now kind of wrap our arms around and welcome in here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's sort of what I try to do. We all the people who are like admins of that group try to get people in. But every time you sort of meet somebody there, somebody like asks, like, hey, are you part of our official booster club already? And when they say no, we're trying to get them in and invite them to that booster club. But and it's also there, like you said, with the things you see. Like the NFL was all over Berlin. like, you saw, I don't know who stuck those stickers on those like poles,
yeah.
but he was a busy man because they were all over Berlin, and it really felt like, okay, the NFL is here, and that's just what I said. Even with the small things, you make it feel alive, and yeah, just so it felt like there was definitely more Colts fans out there in Berlin than there were last time, and when somebody brings, maybe one of those people bring other people to that experience, well, then they become Colts fans too. So yeah, I think the way of keeping it growing is keep on playing there, keep on heading back. So hoping to welcome you back again soon.
Yeah,
So.
I think one of the coolest things you guys did as the kind of supporter group was the Win for Jim March.
Yeah,
where you have the big banner, Win for Jim, Blue Crew Europe. Where you guys all met up at the train station, took the train to the Olympic Stadium stop, got off, and then marched to the stadium. And that was completely organic, which I think is so cool. And it was, what I saw was like this kind of melding of our culture with the Colts, where that was a very European thing to do, the fan march, right? That's a very, I think about the World Cup fan march. We were talking about when you were here back in the spring, like how much I loved watching all the Dutch fans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't take any organization for that, so all credits go to Christoph and the organization team for that. But I think Christoph and Andreas took the biggest care of that. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of something you don't really see here.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of coming that all together, because we can't really tailgate at the European stadiums, though. So we sort of have to bring that culture then, because here you have the tailgate going on for like early in the morning. Like I was at Lucas Oil Sunday at 6 o'clock in the morning.
You beat me there.
yeah, with the Blue Crew. So I mean, here you have the American experience, there you have the European experience. But absolutely, I mean, it was fun. And we'll hope to make it a bigger march next time. But yeah, I'm glad we got to take like a huge group picture, and yeah, it all went flawlessly, I have to say. So
for you, when you've been here in the U.S., you've been here for what, about a month?
I came 13th of December.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks that we're here. This is going to come out later, but as you've gone around and you've been doing this series called Colts Caves, where you've been going around to fans and hey, take me to your quote unquote your man cave, your place where you've got all this memorabilia displayed. What have you learned about the franchise? What have you learned about our fans through having those conversations and hearing those stories about some of these artifacts that you've now seen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I recorded another episode yesterday while we're taping this. I'm not sure yet when it's going to be online. I try to make it in the off season, so we're avoiding any news breaks or something that might flush it away. But yesterday was a great episode. I had Maurice. I went to Maurice and Bryan, Ohio. Well, the first thing I learned is that there's a lot more Colts caves out there. Like there's way more than you think. Like you hear the bigger ones all over the media here, but there's some like more hidden ones which really have treasures. And he went into really interesting stuff. He went into the 1965 Western Conference playoff game where Tom Maddy had to play, who was running back, had to play
that was the one
for a while.
where the Packers missed the field goal. It went directly over the upright.
Yep, exactly.
And no, because I wrote about this after the Texans game, where Fairbairn's kick went over the upright, and they called it good, and I was like, that wasn't good. And it was like, well, actually, the Colts were the first team to get screwed by this.
Exactly, and that's how apparently, after that Western Conference game in 1965, they changed the rules to making it longer goalposts.
Yes.
It still wasn't long enough, apparently.
No, we got to go higher now.
But to tease on that episode, Maurice actually got a story from somebody from the Packers. I'm not going to tell you much, and they admitted that it was off. So
yeah, I mean, I remember watching the YouTube video. You look at the kicker's reaction. He thinks he missed it, but whatever. We don't need to relitigate something that happened 61 years ago.
Yeah. So I mean, the stories hide themselves in the Colts caves, as you say. So it's pretty much. I try to make the series about pretty much being in a museum, right? You're sort of visiting a private Colts museum, and all the stories and artifacts was hide in there. Of course, I like to learn about their fandom and about Maurice's fandom, and about Rick's and Brent's fandom, and Cole. We're going to visit Cole, Mike, and who else have I been to? I've lost track here. Oh yeah, and Sang. And Sang. We're going to visit their Colts caves. I mean, of course, we'd like to learn about their fandom, but I think a lot of people know those stories already, but you don't really know the stories behind what they have. And that's what I'm focusing on this series. So,
how have you felt more connected to the team through kind of doing that series?
Absolutely. I think you sort of, well, I mean, every time I have like a Colts garden house myself, but every time I go to one of those, I'm like, well, I don't have that impression of impressive of a collection yet. Like it's
motivational.
It's motivational. You get a little jealous, but they leave me with some good things too. But no, you feel connected with the team. You feel how they how passionate they are. And I mean, that just truly, I mean, like I said, that just truly shows you how alive the Colts are. I was amazed by this at the Night of Champions as well last March. Like pretty much every sentence Peyton or whoever said, the crowd was exploding. And I mean, that just shows you how alive the team is here and how much it means to the people here. And that gets you, me being from somebody foreign, that gets you sort of connection, that gets your way in to show that, hey, I might be from the other side of the world, but we're still same person pretty much. So yeah, that really helps a lot.
I think that's a really cool thing that you've done too, is like really dive into the team history, because you became a fan in 2019. You didn't grow up here. There's this whole swath of Colts history dating back to the 50s when we were in Baltimore that you kind of are trying to get up to speed on.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that you've invested in that. It's not just like, hey, I'm only a fan from 2019 on. It's like, no, I want to hear, okay, well, tell me more about Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Tell me more about what happened before Peyton Manning. Jim Harbaugh, hear about Bill Brooks. I think that's such a cool thing that you've done too, to really dive into that. What's maybe the most like interesting thing you've learned about like Colts history as you've kind of learned about it and dove into it?
That we, meaning in the series or in general?
Just in general, yeah.
In general. I mean, well, what's something I found funny doing that, or something I find funny learning about that, is that Colts actually used to wear silver and green right after the Second World War, and then they changed it. So yeah, I mean, that's something really cool, and that's something we dove into in that episode as well. But also learning about, the history behind the team. I gave you the Monopoly board I made.
That's really cool. Thank you for that.
And I have one space on it, which is Skokie offices. And the story behind that, you being from that area, the story behind that is really cool. So that's something I also like. That's one of the most interesting stories I heard back then. Yeah. So
the Skokie offices, for those who don't know, back when Robert Irsay owned the Colts, the team headquarters were in Skokie, Illinois.
Yep.
Robert Irsay was a businessman from the northern Chicago suburbs, and he held the Colts offices there. So it's funny you bring that up, because my wife, when we lived in Chicago, she used to work. She was a speech pathologist who would work she worked in a school district in Niles and Skokie, Illinois.
Okay.
And one of the schools that she would work in was a half block from that building. Okay. And I remember I would when she was pregnant, and sometimes I would have to go pick her up or drop her off with twin boys, or there are some, things going on there. I would drive up there and be like, why does this building say Colts? And then I looked into it and was like, oh my gosh,
it's fun that they left it on.
You're a huge Colts fan.
Yeah.
That's where the team offices were. So you really learning a lot about that stuff is really cool, that you're not just, again, just a fan who picked the team up recently. Tell me about the game in Berlin. I know it's a little tinged now that the Colts went on this long losing streak, unfortunately, after that game, but the experience of being in that stadium, knowing the history of that stadium, and, we tried to bring whatever we could to make it feel like a Colts home game.
You did a phenomenal job at that.
Thank you. What was your experience like going to that game?
Well, I mean, I always try to be as early as possible. As soon as the gates open, I'm in the stadium, and to just soak it all in and see how it is. And yeah, it was really great. I mean, from the American people who were there, I learned that they told me that really felt like a Lucas Oil home stadium as much as they could. So I think that was a phenomenal thing. But I mean, it was definitely better than Frankfurt, as in the whole game experience-wise, because it felt more like Colts themed. And seeing that was for me the fun part, seeing the Colts end zone on the field in Europe.
Which the Falcons, but
yeah, you have to share that now. But one of the end zones being Colts, I thought that was really cool. And I mean, the game itself, seeing a franchise record, so it all came together at some point. So yeah, it was really great to experience it. I always have a hard time leaving the stadium after that, but, but it was cool.
I think one of my favorite moments from that trip was after the game. I got back to the hotel and I was exhausted. Like I was just like,
you had a few beers.
well, later that night. But like, I mean, doing the game is an exhausting adventure for me. Like it takes a lot of mental energy. You know, your heart rate goes through the roof on third down and on these big plays, and there were nothing but big plays in that game. I got back to the hotel and I was like, you know what? I'm only going to, this is the first time I've ever done this. I don't know if I'm going to get to do this again. Let me go meet up with, some of our staff that was at the Lindenbräu. And I walk in, and you're one of the first people who I see in there. And you were kind enough to offer me your phone charger, which thank you. But I just, like, standing there and, like, talking with the crew that was there. You know, you were there, Andreas, Sponge.
Yeah, the whole crew,
the whole crew was there. And to be able to, like, share that moment with you guys. And I remember just, like, looking around and being like, can you believe we just witnessed that? Like, that was one of our best games of the year. And, like, sharing that post-game moment with you guys was such a rewarding experience. Like, I know you said it was hard leaving the stadium, but, like, that night after the game, when you're there and, okay, we made it through this game. We won this game. Everyone got to see Jonathan Taylor do something insane and historic. What was that experience like for you after the game?
It was great. I mean, I don't drink, so I probably was the only sober one there. It was fantastic to experience that. And I always just try to strike up conversations. I mean, I studied journalism myself back in the Netherlands, so I always ask questions of people just naturally, I guess. And I actually struck up a conversation there with our guy George. You know him very well.
Oh yeah, George on Sports, love him.
And I knew him already a little bit before that, but after that we were really able to talk more and more. And yeah, he's super nice too, and just he like pretty much said like you have to realize how special like a moment like this, witnessing a moment like this is, because you don't that rarely ever happens. Like even the people in Indianapolis don't really see that often. The fact that you get to play one game here and you get to see that moment, that was something else.
For you as a European crew too, I mean, the Colts have a very good player on their roster from Europe in Bernhard Raimann.
Absolutely.
I know like as an American, sometimes you see like Christian Pulisic and you're like, there's our guy, he's scoring goals in the Champions League. For you to have a Colts player who can represent Europe on this team and play at a very high level in Bernhard Raimann, how rewarding has that been for you and the fan base in Europe to be able to see that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's phenomenal. You were the one to give me the chance to actually meet him, and I think Austrian people get along very well with Dutch people because Dutch people go and ski there pretty much every winter, and he immediately right out of the gate said, "Oh, you probably come to Austria for skiing." I said, "Yep, that's true." So he was super nice to me. But I think mainly, focusing on that international side it's something for the kids pretty much. Like our biggest European fan base. Like they know they don't have they won't become a football player anymore, but young kids they might in the future, and seeing him out there being one of them, like being a European, he might be an inspiration for the young people actually. So
and getting to watch him play at a high level too.
Yeah, very high level.
That's gotta be very, very cool. Say that's our guy right there.
Exactly.
I'm curious, when you had that conversation with him, it was all in German. We were like in the lunchroom. I thought that was a really cool moment for you to to have this conversation and form this connection in a language that's not English. Just that one experience you had with him, like what did you kind of take away from it?
I thought he was very nice. I think he still was a little bit on a pink cloud, as we would say, because back then I think he recently got a child.
Yep.
So I think he was a little bit with his cloud up in the air, with his head up in the air. But I mean, it was really cool. Like just talk to him in German, So what's happening over here? Hey, there's Blue. Hey, there he is. Oh my goodness. Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, Bernie?
Also, wie geht's? Gut. Gut, Sie das sehen. Also, wir reden mal jetzt über dir.
Ist okay, passt auf. Ich wollte nur geschwind vorbeischauen, weil ich dir sagen wollte, dass du unser Colts International Fan of the Year geworden bist.
Are you serious? Oh my goodness.
Gratuliere, dass du, freut mich riesig.
Oh, mega.
Und ja.
Dankeschön.
Ja.
Oh, mega.
Ja, kein Problem.
Also das hatte ich ja ganz nicht erwartet, weil ich bin ja von den Niederlanden, ne? Weil,
aber trotzdem.
Darf man eigentlich nicht machen.
Nein, was sie mir erzählt haben, hast du Riesenarbeit geleistet und freuen uns echt, dass wir diese Unterstützung haben. Und deswegen, ja.
Ah, das ist mega. Hatte ich wirklich nicht erwartet. Also sehr vielen Dank. Dankeschön. Danke. There's my buddy. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. I always like the pet blue. Hey, awesome. Thank you, man. Oh my goodness. This is sick.
Congratulations.
Wow, what a surprise. I didn't expect this.
Got it. Thank you.
Mega, dankeschön.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Blue. Good to see you, buddy. Oh, dankeschön. Und du hast es schon...
Habe ich schon geschrieben.
Super, dankeschön. You have to sign it too, but we'll do that later. Dankeschön.
Ja.
Sehr vielen Dank.
Natürlich.
Also war ja mega geil jetzt zum Spielen zu sehen. Also das war wirklich... Ja, wenn man die Rivers am 50-Yard-Line steht, ich hatte ein Ticket in die erste Linie, ne? Ja, kann man das einfach hören im Stadion. Das ist wirklich cool.
Ja,
also
Philip Rivers hast du auch gehört, wie er sich
ja,
die Referees angeschrieben hat.
ja, also musst du auch ein bisschen mehr machen. Ne?
Okay, mach ich.
Aber keine Flagge.
Ja, genau.
Also mega, sehr vielen Dank.
Ja.
Und ja, danke für die tolle Saison. Also ja, wirklich die Anfang von der Saison war wirklich mega. Und wie war das für dich in Berlin? Ne?
War echt riesig. Also war so eine gute Erfahrung.
Aha.
Familie war dort, Atmosphäre im Stadion war super. Und ja, natürlich mit dem Sieg in Overtime war das.
Wie viele Familie hast du da? Wie viele Tickets?
In Berlin wir hatten insgesamt 35
35
Karten. Ja.
Mega.
Ja, wir haben ein bisschen Familie in Deutschland.
Okay.
Und ja, meine Großmutter ist aus Deutschland. Deswegen haben da viele Verwandte.
Und woher in Deutschland? Also?
Hamburg, also in der Nähe von Hamburg.
Okay.
Ja.
Also, mega. So
Nicht so weit weg.
von allen Orten, ne?
Genau.
Mega geil. Also, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it.
I'm glad you did it.
I wouldn't believe you wouldn't give it. I think you wouldn't give it to me because you have this whole terms of conditions, and it says that you need to be from Germany. Like the Netherlands isn't listed as one of those countries.
Oh,
so.
really? Oh, we have to change that.
Yeah, we'll have to change
Well, we
it.
changed it now.
He's also
right?
basically in Germany, so
Right.
yeah.
Awesome. Oh,
Okay.
thank you, Blue.
Congratulations.
Oh, you're gonna mess my hair up, man. Come on.
On TV too.
Yeah, that's all on camera
Right.
right there. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to
That was
guys
great.
sign this. So yeah, thank you. All right. Well,
Yeah, we still have a podcast to finish.
we
Yeah.
still
Good luck.
But yeah,
Stop.
he should have been here, not me. I mean, he's more important than me. So.
absolutely.
All right.
Hey, good stuff, Bernie.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Dankeschön. Und viel Glück bei Sonntag.
Dankeschön.
Tschüss. Buddy, see you, Blue.
All right.
I didn't expect this, honestly.
Good, because this is a real podcast that we're doing,
Oh my goodness.
but we wanted to surprise you with it because
Yeah, you didn't tell me this.
well, no, because it's a surprise. So for our listeners or viewers, this podcast, I was going to do this podcast anyway. And then our international folks came to me and said, well, actually, we chose Lucas as our 2025 International Fan of the Year, which is a pretty cool honor.
I'm gonna frame this. Yeah, that's cool.
And I was like, well, great. We'll do it on the podcast, and then let's surprise him with Bernard coming back.
That's awesome.
And Bernie was all for it.
You're literally just standing there. We were talking about him.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, he spawns in. So.
That was the cue, actually. The cue is me asking you about Bernard to get him in here. But, Lucas, you are the presence you have in Europe is so important to this franchise, the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you have helped forge this community, like we've been talking about, is so, it's not just important to the Colts, it's important to the growth of people around Europe who now have a community to go to. And, you know, we're so thrilled to recognize you for everything that you do in Europe to kind of bring our fans together there and to forge these traditions that are authentic, that aren't forced upon you guys. You guys all create them yourselves. I guess just to wrap up this podcast, how does it feel to be named our 2025 International Fan of the Year?
I didn't expect this because I'm always like I try to read the rules and everything, and it said that you guys broke the rules for me, so thank you for that. I mean, thank you for having that will to break the rules. That's pretty special.
Well,
I didn't
multiple
expect
people
it.
nominated you too, so.
Well, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it means a lot. I have to say. I mean, it's just I'm speechless pretty much. Okay, I can tell you that. But I mean, I would be doing it anyway. Like I would be even without this, I would still be doing that Cardinals party just because I like it and I like the Colts. So thank you so much for this. And I mean, I truly have to thank the people who enabled me to do this, like our European Blue Crew. I mean, I hate calling names because we pretty much miss out on everybody. Like Christoph, Marcel, Andreas, George. He really talked me into signing up for International Fan for the year. So thank you, George. And I mean, for now it's somebody from the Netherlands, but future will be again somebody from Germany where we can actually target it. So yeah, thank you.
Well, but again, the work you do and the presence you have and just the care and passion you have for the Colts, I appreciate it. Our entire organization appreciates it. That's going to wrap up this podcast. That is our 2025 International Fan of the Year, Lucas LeJeune. Lucas, congratulations, man.
Thank you very much. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss.
The Colts Show is presented by Microsoft Surface Copilot Plus PC, where every day is game day. Greatness in the NFL starts long before kickoff. It's built in the quiet hours of preparation and the discipline to turn insights into action. The Indianapolis Colts rely on Microsoft Surface Copilot Plus PCs to turn preparation into performance. With real-time AI-powered insights right on the sideline, coaches and players can make smarter, faster decisions when it matters most. From the field to the front office, Microsoft Surface Copilot Plus PCs are transforming how the Indianapolis Colts prepare, strategize, and win. This isn't just about football, it's about unlocking potential wherever the game is played. Hey Colts fans, the Colts Sunday Night 7-on-7 series is returning. Boys tackle and dedicated girls flag can train in an open gym format across select Sundays this winter. Presented by Forte Sports Medicine and Orthopedics with support from Gatorade and the Gridiron Foundation. Sign up now at colts.com/SN7on7.